Welcome to the Culture-ish, a storytelling space with the vibe of a cool 90s coffee shop. You know, the one you always walked by on the way home, but never went in. The one with poetry nights, a rotating art wall, and a house band in the corner. And people who felt interesting without trying. Culture-ish is a wink, a nod, a shrug, a vibe for anyone who's ever said, I'm a little culturate. It's where real life meets art, where oddities meet meaning, and everyday objects become portals into bigger stories. And today we're starting with the story about rediscovery, memory, and the art of keeping things, even when we don't know why. Well, this episode did not begin in a museum. It began in the storage unit, one of those dim, echoing corridors where lights hum like they're keeping secrets. I was there to purge, to strip away the remnants of old chapters, boxes stacked like past versions of myself, clothes that belonged to someone I used to be, paperwork from stories I had already lived. I sorted, I donated, I let go. When the junk man hauled away the last of the load, the unit felt hollow, a strange emptiness, the kind that makes you so aware of your breath, took hold. The attendant stepped in for a final inspection, glanced around, and said,
"There's a dead cardinal in here."
My heart jumped, but when I turned, it wasn't a dead bird. It was a wooden cardinal, hand-carved by my late uncle, tucked behind a beam, waiting to be found. I picked it up, and the air shifted as I cradled the little wooden cardinal in my arms. I had asked him to make it for me years ago. It's more precious now than ever. It's a reminder that even forgotten objects can still hold us. And that's when Andy Warhol came to mind. Because if anyone understood the drama of rediscovery, the theater of objects, it was him. In 1974, Andy Warhol began a ritual that bordered on obsession. Every day he swept debris from his life, receipts, wrappers, letters, photographs, into a cardboard box. He sealed it, labeled it, and he moved on. It wasn't neat or curated. It was strangely chaotic and theatrical. Warhol wasn't just saving objects. He was staging a future revelation, a slow burn drama that wouldn't unfold until long after he was gone. And inside these boxes, archivists have found a cookie from a gallery opening, a wig flattened like a sleeping animal, newspaper clippings about bizarre accidents, photo booth strips, shopping bags filled with other shopping bags, and the Viva la Resistance, fingernail clippings. Yes, you heard me correctly, fingernail clippings. Each box is a mood, a breadcrumb trail through Warhol's mind. Warhol feared being forgotten. He feared the blur between truth and myth, so he built his own mythology, one box at a time. Warhol wasn't alone in turning life into art. Artists have been doing this for decades, taking the personal, the messy, and the everyday, elevating it into something worth looking at. One of the most iconic examples is Tracey Emin, the British artist who immortalized her breakup with a piece called My Bed. She exhibited her actual bed exactly as it was during a brutal period of heartbreak. Rumpled sheets, smoked cigarettes, empty bottles, discarded clothes, all the emotional residue that collects when you're going through a good old-fashioned breakup bed rot. It definitely was not staged. It wasn't sanitized. It was real, raw, and intrinsically human. And honestly, it was magnificent. Iman's bed did what Warhol's boxes did. It turned the private into public. It turned the personal into permanent. It turned the mess of everyday life into a cultural artifact. Warhol saved the debris of his days. Iman saved the debris of her heartbreak. Both artists understood something essential. Life itself is an archive, and sometimes the things we leave lying around tell the truest story. Now, one of my favorites. There's one more artist whose real life became her art in a way that feels deeply connected to Warhol and Tracey Emin. That's Frida Kahlo. After Frida survived a catastrophic bus accident at the age of 18, her body was never the same. She spent months in bed immobilized in a full torso cast, and instead of letting the cast become a symbol of limitation, she turned it into a canvas. Frida painted directly onto her medical cast. Flowers, symbols, hearts, veins, tears, wings, and statements, transforming something meant to restrain her into something that expressed her inner world. Her painted body casts are some of the most intimate objects in art history. They're not only sculptures, they're not just paintings, they're artifacts of survival, proof that even in pain, Frida insisted on creating. And just like Warhol's boxes and Tracey Emin's bed, Frida Kahlo's painted casts remind us that real life is often raw material of art. The things that we endure, the things we carry, and the things we transform. Now, this is something else about Warhol, Tracey Emin, and Frida Kahlo that feels strangely modern. None of them lived in a world shaped by social media. Warhol never saw Instagram. Emin made my bed before Twitter existed. Frida Kahlo painted her cast decades before anyone could post a day in my life. And yet, what they were doing looks a lot like the early DNA of social media. Warhol's timed capsules of daily life feel like proto-Instagram, little snapshots, moments, and objects. A feed of everything he touched, saved, or consumed. And Tracey Emin's My Bed feels like a honestly people share that during a heartbreak or breakup. It's that honesty that heals. It wasn't polished or filtered, or it was just real. And Frida Kahlo's painted body cast feels like a kind of intimate storytelling people share today when they talk about healing or recovery. Not performative, not aestheticized, just honest. These artists weren't influencers. They weren't chasing likes. They weren't curating for an algorithm. But they were doing something we still do today, turning life into story, turning pain into expression, and turning everyday life into something worth remembering. So what is culture-ish? Well, this story is culture-ish. This is what we're here for, to kind of make you think twice about the things you see every day. It's a place where real life meets art, and I truly treasure it. And I hope we can build a beautiful community together. So I was inspired by Warhol and by my wooden cardinal. I created my own time capsule for the episode. Inside it, I sealed lip gloss, costume jewelry, fake eyelashes, Warhol memorabilia. Not real. I can't afford that. Photos, and my Duran Duran concert ticket stubs from the early 2000s. They were so pretty. Objects that survived my purge. Objects that insisted on being remembered. And you can see my full time capsule on our Substack. Definitely go over and check it out. And before we close, I want to invite you listening right now to join me in this experiment. If you made a time capsule today, right this minute, what would be inside? Your unfinished breakfast, an empty coffee cup, a ticket stub from the last movie you saw? Maybe it's something stranger, something sentimental, something you didn't realize mattered until you held it in your hand. We'll share it up on our Substack. Post a picture or list the items that you would put together. And let's build a little archive of our own together. And the Substack is Culturish Pod, and I'll post it in our comments section. Warhol's time capsules remind us that art isn't always a masterpiece hanging on the wall. Sometimes it's the debris of a life lived intensely, saved for someone in the future to rediscover. And Tracey Emin's bed reminds us that heartbreak can be an installation, that vulnerability can be a gallery, and that mess we try to hide can be the most honest thing we ever show. Frida Kahlo's painted body casts remind us that even in pain, we can become the canvas, and survival itself can be art, and sometimes a wooden cardinal in a storage unit. Thanks for listening to the first episode of The Culturish. Join me next time as we explore another story from the beautiful, strange corners of visual arts and culture.